Dog, you think your story is deep or your music includes emotions? Nah. Celeste. This is where it's at. Hey everybody, my name's Echo from Echo's World, also known as Dom. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about one of the absolute greatest games I've played in a long time. Celeste. Now, I'm not going to just blindly praise the game. No, that's not what we do here. I'm going to talk about what's great about it, but there are going to be some flaws interspliced in there. And we're going to talk about it in about 4 points. I'm going to talk about the gameplay, I'm going to talk about the story, spoiler warning, I'm going to talk about the music, and I'm going to talk about minute things like the collectibles. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Celeste is a game that centers around just 4 main mechanics. You can dash, you can climb, you can run, and you can jump. Well, you may think this game is simple. You're dead wrong. Nah, dog, this game will beat you to death 3 times and then kick your corpse, whip it with a belt, and spit on you. It's awful. I can still hear the death sound constantly. It's all around me. To top it all off, all that I just talked about is just 1 level. There's 9. There are 9 levels in this game, albeit 2 are DLC, but there are 9. Free DLC, by the way. Do you know how many deaths that is? For me, it's this many. This many deaths during the entire game. Is that not enough for you? For my father, this many deaths. You're gonna die a lot in this game. It's not gonna baby you. It will punch you a lot, but you're gonna love it anyway. While the game may test your patience, it's still incredibly fun, mainly due to the in-level mechanics. You thought there were just 4 mechanics? Let me reiterate. There are 4 player mechanics. This does not account for the level mechanics, which every level has its own thing going for it. In fact, let's take Chapter 4 as an example. The Golden Ridge has 4 in-level mechanics. It's got these weird orby things that when you jump into them, they launch you in whichever direction you're facing. And yes, you have to dictate it or else it will just launch you into nothing. Sometimes it will kill you if you do that. The game doesn't like you sometimes. The best part about those orbs is once you get launched out of them, your dash is reset, which is fantastic. The second mechanic of the level is the clouds. The clouds, when you jump on them, they bounce you up, and if you jump right at the bounce, it launches you even farther. But then there's the stupid purple clouds. The purple clouds are the worst! Because when you jump on them, they just disappear. And then you just die, so you have to restart that screen again. Then there's these block thingies that when you grab onto them, they start going in whichever direction the arrow is facing. So there's an arrow on every single one, they'll go whenever you grab them or touch them. The final mechanic of level 4 is the wind. It's just straight up the wind. It's either blowing at you or it's blowing you forward, and there's puzzles centered around both ways. The mechanics are great, and every single level has one. Level 2's got these dream blocks, level 1's got these traffic stop blocks. Every single level has some sort of mechanic. If they didn't, the game would get super duper stale. Who would want to play a game as rigid and stale as that, where it's just the same thing for like 7 to 9 hours? I'll tell you who. Nobody. Why would you play that? In what world would you play that? What? Now onto the story portion of the video. Spoiler warning! A girl climbs a mountain to escape her issues. The end. Oh wait, you wanted more? Okay, I'll spoil you guys this time. Celeste is about Madeline, the player character, deciding that she needs a change in life and decides to climb a mountain. However, if that were the only thing the game were about, then I would not be making this video. No. There's so much depth to this game that I can't even begin to comprehend it. It tackles serious issues such as anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. And it represents them in such a respectful and clear way. And even a metaphorical way in the form of Madeline. You initially meet Madeline at the beginning of Chapter 2. However, all she does is breaks out of a mirror and then dips. Later on, you finally get to have a conversation with her where you realize that Madeline is just a part of Madeline, and that's what the game calls her. She calls herself the pragmatic part of Madeline, meaning she feels she's the realism of Madeline, saying, I'm realistic here, you are not a mountain climber. And so Madeline responds with saying, you don't know what you're talking about. So Madeline responds to her with, then I'll show you. And she begins the chase sequence in chapter 2. She comes back multiple times in the game as well. She comes back during chapter 3 right at the end, right at the climax of that chapter, where she confronts Oshiro with all of Madeline's inner feelings, saying, Oshiro, you're terrible. I don't want to stay in your stupid hotel, setting Oshiro off the rails, causing him to lash out at you. She appears again in chapter 6 when you try and reason with her, where she says, you can't set me free, I'm part of you, and she slaps Madeline back down the mountain. That's when you start to realize, though, Madeline's not quite an antagonist. Madeline is just a part of Madeline that wants to be heard. She wants her feelings heard as well. And that's the thing about this game. It's that metaphor that to truly cope, you can't push it away. You must work with it. You must work alongside it to come to a better future. And Madeline realizes that in chapter 6, where her and Madeline finally come together, and they finally try to work together, thus causing them to combine into a level up, in a sense, not only physically, but also emotionally. Then there's Theo. And Theo is by far the best character ever. And here's why. Theo appears at the beginning of chapter 1. He's just another mountain climber, but he's this happy-go-lucky guy. He loves taking selfies, he immediately calls you his BFF, and you meet him again in every single chapter. You have a brief conversation with him in chapter 2. He's the one in chapter 3 who says, we gotta get out of here. This place is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Chapter 4, well, we'll get to what happens in chapter 4. Chapter 5, he's the one that helps be that emotional support for Madeline to get through the scary portion of the level. Chapter 6, her and Madeline have a true heart-to-heart. He truly is a supportive best friend. That's his role, and they could not have portrayed it better than they did with Theo. He's a phenomenal man, and they couldn't have chosen a better role for him. It's such a beautiful story. Yet, I don't think there's a scene in this game than the one I'm about to show, which takes place right at the end of chapter 4. At this point in the game, you know what? No. Instead of talking about it, just watch. This scene accurately portrays what it's like to be in a panic attack. It cuts the humor, cuts the funkiness. It's a serious scene with a serious tone, and it does that on purpose so that you don't lose sight of how serious panic attacks really are. But I think what really ties the scene together is Theo. Again, like I stated earlier, I believe he's probably one of the best characters I've ever seen. And this is a great portrayal of that. Because while Madeline is suffering from this panic attack, he's the one that teaches her to breathe with a feather. It's just such a simple tactic, and he's the one that tells her to try that. And what does it do? It calms her down, and then the gondola keeps moving. I really believe this is the scene in the game that ties it together. Without this scene, the game would not be what it is. I really do believe that. Now let's get right into the music. And if you guys thought I was excited about the story, you ain't seen nothing. Nothing! The music of Celeste is probably one of the most phenomenal examples of developers pairing music to game I've heard in my entire life. And don't get me wrong, I've played a lot of video games. Let's take Castlevania Symphony of the Night as an example, another game that I hold near and dear to my heart. That game's phenomenal soundtrack accurately portrays the era of the 1700s Gothic vampiric times, along with the spookiness of Dracula's castle. If that's not enough for you, I'll use another example, the Legend of Zelda series. There's so many titles and songs you could pick from there, so we'll just pick a couple. The Forest Temple theme, spooky, scary, it'll make you pee your pants. Or how about the Wind Waker Sailing Across the Seven Seas theme? You wanna sail across the seven seas, you're a pirate. The Legend of Zelda main theme. All of those songs portray one main idea that Zelda wants to portray, and that's adventure. And there's plenty of other games that get this idea right as well, such as Minecraft, Stardew Valley, and Braid, just to name a few. And yet, I firmly believe that Celeste has the greatest pairing of a musical soundtrack of any game I've ever played. This belief of mine stems from Lena Raine, the composer, who wrote the entire soundtrack purely from her heart. It's no coincidence that the music is as perfect as it is. In fact, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I'll use Chapter 2 as an example. The theme has this sort of aloofness to it. It's mysterious, it's wavy, but it's mainly aloof. And it does this on purpose to give you a sense of, that's not right, because when you start up this level, you know that things are very different, based on the fact that just your campfire that you fell asleep next to has turned green, which is not normal. So it pushes you to tread carefully and figure out what's going on. So you go and explore and you find these weird, solid colored dream blocks sort of things. You can't do anything with them, they're just there. As you explore, you eventually come upon a mirror, where you finally come face to face with Madeline for the first time. When she comes out, the level activates, and the theme switches just a little bit. Now that the level's activated, the music picks up a little bit. It's still that same mysterious aloof feeling, but now it's got a walking drum beat that makes you want to keep going. And it's got this synth to it as well. This phasing synth. It's like this on purpose, to keep you moving, but now you know that this is not real life. You know that things are weird. So the theme keeps you moving, to get out of this weirdness. Eventually, in your exploring of the level, you come face to face with Madeline again. She chats with you a bit, telling you are not a mountain climber. Then she begins to chase you, and the music shifts entirely. Now instead of this aloof, mysterious feeling, This makes your heart race. This makes you want to run away and get away from her because you know that she is not your friend. It's still the same instruments and it's still the same thematic presence of the level, but now you know you're in danger. Rather than being able to freely explore, you have to get out of there. The entire soundtrack does this well too, where it makes you feel the situation going on and it puts you in the world, rather than you just being a player in the world. You are actually there. You feel like you're there. If that's not enough for you, let's go back to the gondola scene real quick. The gondola scene has what I believe to be probably the most perfect moment of music to scene in the entire game. The gondola scene doesn't just work because of the story and the characters going on. The music plays an equal part in making this scene truly work. And here's why. You see, when the gondola first stalls, this piano comes in. It's very calm, but it gears you up because you know something's about to happen. And then as the scene progresses, Madeline breaks down into a panic attack. And when she does, these heavy synths fade in, immediately drowning out the piano up to the point where you cannot hear it at all. It is just simply not there. Those synths stay there until Theo teaches you how to use a feather and breathe with the feather to calm down. And as you do that, the synths slowly fade out, and you can slowly but surely hear that piano come back again and again, until all you hear is the piano, and it's back to being calm, and the gondola keeps moving. I firmly believe that this scene would not work as well if there was no music. Now that we got all the big stuff out of the way, let's talk about the fun stuff. The collectibles! Yes, it does. This game features little collectibles for you to get. Mainly, the strawberries. In every single level except Chapter 6, you'll find strawberries littered everywhere. Some of them are just right on your path. You can just, take a slight deviation, be like, cool, got another strawberry. Others, you might have to find, a secret room and be like, ooh, this is a nice looking puzzle. Let's do it. But I promise you, every strawberry is a fun time to get. Well, almost all of them, but there's a couple that are like, this is not a fun puzzle, but for the most part, the strawberries are a good time. The game's a good time in general, but the strawberries just give you an extra something to do instead of just solve a level. You can solve a screen in a separate way to get the strawberry and then solve the screen itself. They do that on purpose. Not only does every level feature a bunch of strawberries for you to collect, every level also has a specific B-side or cassette tape for you to collect. To find them, you have to go slightly out of the way, but they're not super hidden. You will most likely find them just on your journey through the level. There's only one per level, but they're not difficult to find. You'll find that their puzzles are also not super difficult to solve. Just get from point A to point B as the blue and pink blocks flash in and out. Now, collecting the cassette and actually playing the B-side level is two entirely different stories. When I said the levels in this game are difficult, I was talking about the A-sides. The B-sides are way more difficult, leagues more difficult than the A-sides are. But they're still a lot of fun. It's an incredible challenge, but they're way more difficult. Now, along with the cassette tapes in each level, every level also features a crystal heart. Now, unlike the cassette tapes, the crystal hearts are incredibly challenging to find, where you have to go very out of your way to find them. You have to think deep on the puzzles to figure out what they mean. But once you do, you get that aha moment, and you get that crystal heart. Then there's the golden strawberries. Would you like to know how to collect the golden strawberries? You have to beat a level, start to finish, without dying. Like I said, I'm not gonna blindly praise this game, because this game does have some flaws. And these golden strawberries are the pinnacle of flaws for this game. It's not a huge flaw, because you don't have to get them, but if you're a completionist, have fun. While it does suffer a bit with the golden strawberry dilemma, the entire rest of the game is so well put together, you'd be doing yourself a disservice to just walk right on by it. If you truly don't care, that's fine. However, if you even have a thought of, sounds interesting, do yourself a favor and buy the game. I promise you won't be disappointed. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. I spent a lot of time working on this, not just the actual video portion, but just on all of this, just on the channel reboot and everything. If you did, leave a like, and if you didn't, leave a dislike. Either way, it supports my channel. And leave a comment down below too, whatever you want to talk about, whether it's discussion about the video, a like streak, or a comment streak, I mean, whatever you want, leave a comment. If you want, you know, I can't stop you. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out, y'all.